I'm going to go ahead and disclaimer this and say right now, this is probably going to end up becoming an intermediate level shit. Beginner to intermediate, because I don't know everything. As much as I will claim that I do not. I am still learning this route. But I will do my best to teach you everything that I know. So I am going to need a name for Zidane. If anyone would like to share one with me. Chef BLT. Alright, let's get cracking, huh? Just BLT. Chef BLT fits though. There's no need to remove the E. Don't be silly. Alright. Brutal's lettuce and tomato. Okay. So the very first thing in this game that you need to do when you start a run is go to your config. I am going to tell you all the quick ways to get around your menu because I'm a good guy like that. Obviously pressing up allows you to wrap around in this menu. You go into config. Now, people will disagree with this, but this is the optimal thing to do. And you just hold down right until you get to field message. It can fuck up a little bit. So when it comes to these two at the bottom, you will probably have to do them a little bit manually. All of these, obviously the sound doesn't matter. Just hold down right and it will do them all for you. Now, to go extremely fast, you need to make sure that you turn window menu classic, window color to classic. This is the secret to world record. Just saying. Then go ahead, light the candle in the middle of the room. Right, I'm probably going to end up killing this save at some point, so we'll see how long we can hang on to. Jeff. BLT. Is that why no run Yuri runs made it to world record? Exactly. It's me, Chef BLT. Right, cheeky little save state. Now, Baku, the very first encounter. The first thing that you're going to do is hit L2 and bring this window up. You can play without it, but you'd be a fool to. You would be a fool to. Obviously, preempt steals are really good here. We're looking to steal the Mage Masher at a 6.75% rate, I believe. You do not want to proceed this fight until you've got it. As soon as you've got it, you want to then proceed to suicide all of your teammates. The way that you can optimize this is by ATB waiting. This is the best place in the game to practice ATB waiting because you are in no real threat of dying. Everyone except for Sinner, who is unfortunately completely useless throughout the entirety of this run. I'm sorry, Sinner. I love you, but you are shit. Can ATB wait Masked Man. It is very difficult to ATB wait Marcus, but it can be done. If you are going to do it, you will have to do it before using anyone else. I'm not really going to demonstrate doing it. I wouldn't really recommend going for it, but if you want to give it a go, by all means, be my guest. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this preempt with blank and try and steal from him. Got the potion. Okay. So I would never recommend queuing more than one steal at a time if you do not know if you have already stole the Mage Masher. So we're going to steal with Zidane here. And before I could really react to whether or not we've stole it or not, I'm going to be holding Sinner here to see what Zidane stole. And he stole nothing. I'm assuming here that we're still in front of Masked Man. He still hasn't actually queued his turn up. So I'm going to Q steal with Steiner here, and I'm instantly going to hold steal with Marcus to see what he gets. Because if we do steal with Marcus, we don't want to keep stealing. Oh, he actually got his turn. So I'm going to pause it here. So during all of that, I let ATB flow because I need Zidane and Blank's ATBs to be filling. Holding with Marcus there actually slows you down completely because you're stopping yourself from gaining ATB. As soon as I saw Massman having his turn, I let go of ATB and let my allies start filling their ATB back up. So Sinner's about to have his turn. I'm going to let ATB flow during this because I need Zidane and Blank's turns to come back around. They will come up before Massman. They started generating ATB before him. They're also faster than him. So we're going to have a look, see what he steals. Nothing. I'm going to go ahead and queue Marcus. Got the wrist. I'm going to go ahead and queue Blank. Didn't steal anything. Keep going. So importantly here, we're still not going to be able to get the weight off, but I'm going to queue it so that Blank's going to go first. Then Sinner. Then Marcus. Then Zidane. We still didn't get it. Right, so here's how we do ATB waiting in this fight. So I have held ATB as soon as Massman finished his turn. And I have somebody else's ATB to hold on to with. So I'm going to go ahead and queue Blank here. And then as soon as it lets me take control of Sinner, I'm going to hold ATB. Now, the way ATB waiting works is that you can picture it. Because Massman just had his turn, he currently doesn't have any ATB. His ATB bar is empty, or close enough to empty that it may as well be empty. He may have like half a tick to a tick worth of ATB. Because Blank has more speed than Massman, if both of them have empty ATB at the same time, Blank's turn will come round first. That's the fundamental way that we gain additional turns using ATB weight mechanics. So the way that I'm going to make it so that he doesn't gain any ATB while I have my entire turn is queue the steal and instantly hold with Sinner. So no ATB gain during that. I just pressed X twice. And I'm going to press circle, then X really quickly. Get the steal off. Wait for Blank's ATB to completely empty down the bottom right. And now both Maskman and Blank have no ATB. So as soon as I start letting the fight play again, if I'm quick, as soon as Blank's ATB comes back up, I will be able to have an additional turn on him. So we're going to keep stealing. Still don't need it, so we need this steal. So tap him through, and he has an extra turn. That is ATB waiting. So now I'm going to do it with Zidane. Blank, Massman's ATB is empty. Use Zidane. Hold with the next character. Wait for Zidane's ATB to empty out, and then continue the fight. I was a little bit slow. So if you rewind that and watch that back, you'll notice that I actually didn't hold ATB straight away. So I actually let Massman gain some ATB. And that's how you can mess it up. Don't do that. So we're just going to keep stealing until we get this Mage Masher. The next thing we can cover in this encounter is fleeing. So you'll notice that when I queue Blank's animation here, he goes from holding the sword over his back to readying it in front of him, I think. Like that, okay? You see how he changed his pose when I queued his ability? You can cancel that with a flee. When you're fleeing, your characters can't do that animation. You can force them to completely skip that animation. It's important when there's nothing happening. And if you do it throughout the course of the entire run, you'll save about 30 seconds. So it's always worth doing where you can. Just be careful, because when you're fleeing, you take an additional 50% damage. Which again, isn't really much of a threat here, because he's very weak. From physical attacks, yeah. Magic attacks don't do it. Well said. So, an interesting thing worth noting about Masked Man is that normally, and I'm saying like 99% of enemies that you fight, like yourself, will only have 1 ATB per character on the field. Masked Man is actually one of the exceptions to that. I believe he has 3 ATB bars that govern the way his head move or something stupid. So you'll notice that when you're trying to ATB weight your characters, you may need to open and close the menu a few times, which is why I do that quite quickly a number of times while trying to get my characters to have their turn. Masked Man and Necron are the only ones that I can think of where they actually do this. So it can become a little bit weird, and it almost feels a little bit sticky when you're working with ATB weight on Masked Man himself. Hey, we got it. Right, so this is the most important thing. This is what makes ATB weighting really important here. So now we should be able to kill all of our party members in the same turn without letting him have an extra turn. And one of the most important things about speedrunning this game is reducing the amount of turns in combat. That's how you save time in this game. Menus and stuff will always help you out, but reducing the amount of time you spend in combat is the real key to saving time. So if I'm really quick here, I'm going to jump up to attack and then Q it on myself. Much easier to kill yourself in this game than it is to actually finish the fight. Alright, sweet. So, first boss down. There isn't really much going on here, but it is worth noting. So, when you're mashing through all this, I believe blank has 3 text boxes. 1, 2, 3... then a delayed one, and then it's straight into a dialogue option. You need to pick option 2. If you pick option 1, it will just repeat the process until you pick option 2. There is an Easter egg if you do it, I believe, 64 times. But be ready for that. So 3 text boxes off of blank into 1 delayed one, and then down. I mean, I can talk about puck skip really briefly. I can try and go for it if you like. But this isn't something that I'd recommend doing. Normally what you do here is you just hold up. I'll do a little save state so I can go for it a few times. But there is... so as you run up... I'll show you what happens normally first. I'm sure you're all very aware. As you run up here, puck will come up behind you and bump into you and stop you. And they'll have a little rat tantrum before you can proceed. But... if you time it really well, and it is very, very, very tight, there is a man on the right-hand side of the street. If I talk to him... oh, I actually got it. Let's go. You see how Vivi was kind of just doing some bullshit there? I actually spoke to the guy twice. If you speak to him as Vivi bumps into you... sorry, as Puck bumps into you, you can skip all of that and run past it. I believe it saves like 3 seconds or something. Because you're kind of waiting for Puck to get to you, so you're losing a bit of distance. It's not worth it. You lose more time if you don't get it than if you save if you do. Yes, you can do it on HD PC. So we're going to proceed up. We're going to talk to this guy in the booth. I'm going to mash through all this. Going to give us some cards. And then just hold left. Deep down here. Mash through all this. You don't need to pick any specific dialogue options, so you can just mash raw. Once he runs off with the ladder, you will take control of Vivi, so don't forget to chase him. There is a specific line you can take down here. If you're right behind him, you can kind of get nice and tight. So, in this screen, if you are new to the run, there is a tent on the left here. I would recommend picking this up. These are going to be useful later. So again, we're mashing through some dialogue here, and I need a name. Actually, what are we calling Vivi? What's Vivi's name? I need some help with Vivi here. So we're going to mash through this, proceed up the ladder here. our dude don't fit. So we're going to want to stick close to Puck here and just follow him straight through. Just dude. Nah, we'll go with the classic. It's been a while since I've done it on arcade stick. Hat boy. Scared child. You guys are geniuses. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, so the next encounter coming up is King Leo. Right. I'm going to do a save state here because I want to make sure that I can mix up my RNG for this fight a little bit. So this part here is an auto-scroller. You don't need to mash. As soon as the music starts, all of this is on rails until the fight starts. So that the battle starts at a specific time in the song. That's the easy way to remember it. Nate, you know what villain fits? I should get rid of data dance now, shouldn't I? Not time for data anymore. Okay, so King Leo is a very easy fight to execute, but an incredibly hard fight to optimize. So before we actually get into the encounter, I'm going to talk about a few things. So again, the most important thing here is we complete this fight in as few turns as possible. This is one of the fights that I am not 100% confident in my ability to judge perfectly every single time. And I don't think there are many people that are. This fight is incredibly hard to optimize. I can't stress how hard this fight is to optimize. You only win the fight when you have dealt lethal damage to Leo. You do not need to kill the brothers. Killing the brothers obviously stops them from having turns though. So it is way easier to manage if you just start by killing them. If you have full ATB on everyone, I believe it's optimal to go for the brothers. If you have bad ATB on everyone, you want to try and use all of your ATB weights to kill Leo in a single turn. I believe. It's one of the most dynamic fights in the entire game, and it happens in 2 turns. It's horrific. And you can lose up to about 30 seconds on it. Okay, so instantly we've noticed that one of them has had a turn. So we know that Zenero is going to be able to attack before Marcus, Blank, and Sinner are able to attack twice. So I am going to use this turn on Zidane here to try and rob Binero of his turn instantly. Oh shit, okay, so I'm going to let all my characters get their ATB. I'm going to go to Blank and queue it on him, get Marcus. Okay, let me just explain what I just did. So Zidane is going to attack Binero, hopefully, and remove him from the battle. And then Blank is going to remove Zenero from the battle. After that, I should have... Hopefully, if Sinner high rolls, will have lethal damage, I believe. You can, obviously, once again, wait Marcus on this fight. But if you do him after anyone else, if you do anyone else first, it can be difficult. Yeah, I should probably change the split. I'll do that now really quickly. Yes. Okay. So if you want to queue Marcus and you want to ATB weight Marcus, it's highly recommended that you do him first. If you don't do him first, you're at the mercy of frame rules and it becomes really sketchy and unreliable. So because I got Zidane queued first and Zidane is now going to be having his turn first in this encounter, I am not going to bother trying to ATB weight Marcus. So we'll squeeze Zidane through. Zidane's ATB is now empty. I'm going to squeeze Blank through. He's going to take out Zenero. And then we're just going to go ahead and start queuing people to attack. So a minor optimization I've used here is having Zidane wait first. And the reason is because Zidane's speed is actually a little bit quicker than Blank's. So you'll have that turn come through first. Alright, cool. So he's... Yeah, it had lethal damage there. So let me just reload this one more time. We'll do it one more time and hopefully try and get a different seed on this. The thing that really slows this fight down is when they all start casting special effects. If they cast the special effects, you lose about 10 seconds or so. The animations are exceptionally slow. They don't really matter at a low level because 10 seconds in the grand scheme of things isn't going to affect that much. But when you're starting to push for a high time, or a low time I should say, you're going to notice that if you have a bad Leo fight, it will affect your entire prologue to everything up until Steiner 3 more than pretty much anything else, except for obviously Mage Masher. So on this encounter, alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and get Marcus through here. Take out that other brother and stop him from having a turn. I'm going to go ahead and delete that brother. Good run, mate. Okay, so what I've done this time is I'm going to see if I can get... Because I believe that I will have full, lethal damage if I can include Marcus in the ATB weight. So I'll have to be really quick to make sure that I don't give Leo any ATB while I'm using Blank and Marcus to attack. How's the run? It's nuts, mate. So I'm going to circle an X really quickly here and try and get them through. What's good, Cody? And then also going to get Sedan through. Just to make sure I don't fuck it up, I'm going to turn Turbo on. Alright, cool. So because Sinner rolled like 26, we didn't need the extra attack from Marcus. Another thing that you save yourself by doing extra weights is you back yourself up against misses. You can miss against King Leo. The downside for going for weights when you don't actually need them, like we did just then, is that we actually lost time because we were spending time waiting for our ATBs to fill up when we didn't actually need to. So it's one of those, it's a scenario that you run into a lot when you're speedrunning this game, is that you never know what you're going to need until it's too late. So a lot of it is risk assessment that you'll gain by running this game over and over again and deciding what risks you want to take when playing the game. Alright, I mean, I'll go for nobles, but we're not going to get it. What's good, Cody, man? I'm playing on emulator today, so I'm not very good at nobles as it is. Which is, it's going to be good because it's going to show you all of the extra nobles pickups. Pressed up instead. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll be on absolute backup strats. That's okay. So in the Petro route, it's not really too much of a big deal if you don't get nobles. You lose around 25 seconds over the entire course of the run, which isn't much. Be careful not to mash here. You're going to do 1, 2 text boxes, and then you're going to have to say no. If you hit yes, you lose like 45 seconds to a minute. Don't do that. Okay, so we're going to mash through all this. Going to come through. Blank's going to tell us to fuck off. And then before we hit these stairs, we're going to go into our menu really quickly and just do an optimize to include that Mage Masher. When I was running on PC, I preferred to do this menu in particular instead a little bit later, just for the way the game flowed, in my opinion. But on PSX, I prefer to do it there. Obviously, you can do it on PC there, but that one was a personal preference that I ran into. First option's fine here. This is all just straight mashing all the way through. Zorn and Thorn all the way through. Get ready, because in the next bit, we're going to be naming Steiner. As with naming anyone else, normally you want to just hit start and name them, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go for a classic. So mashing through all this text with Steiner again. We are going to then proceed to the next story trigger, which is down through the foyer. Now YouTube is age restricted. Good. I'm going to be swearing. Hey, and no one under 16 wants to learn to run this game. Let's be real. So carrying up, we're going to go up this staircase here. Carry on in. And then the top of the tower. Proceed through this cutscene. So you want to mash this text box in particular as quickly as you can, because you actually decide how quickly Garnet jumps on you by how quickly you mash through that text box. If you let it hang, she doesn't come down straight away. Little brother was quite interested. Well, I'm sure he watches stuff on YouTube above his age restriction anyway, so smile. A little bit of text here with Ruby. Then you're going to want to run around and talk to her before proceeding downstairs. More mashing, more mashing, more mashing, more mashing. Now, when I was running on HD, this is the area where I preferred to put the Mage Masher on. I usually put it on here. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. As long as you put the Masher on before this encounter. Okay, really, this is quite a simple little encounter, this one. There are 3 ways to end this fight. One of them is exceptionally rare, and I have never actually done it. If you max roll from everybody, you can kill it in a kill old Cumlord in a single turn. Don't rely on it. Sinner's rolls are madly inconsistent. The other 2 ways are far more reliable, and that is either you can kill him with 2 Zidane rolls, as long as one of them they aren't both low rolls, or 2 blanks and 1 Zidane. So the most common thing to do is whoever has the best ATB, you wait them through. Waiting in this fight is the best way to finish this fight. So I'll do a little save state, and we'll see what we get. Okay, good ATB on Zidane. Hopefully Sinner's going to come around quick enough. No. So if Sinner's ATB was a little bit better, we would actually be able to get an ATB weight off here. But we can't, unfortunately. So we'll have to go for a slightly slower fight here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just queue Zidane, and then I'm going to queue Blank immediately after. Just because the amount of time it takes for Steiner's ATB to come back round, we're going to be using... that time is going to be wasted anyway. So we'll queue him in. Get Blank in. The reason I'm doing this now is because if Zidane happens to miss, we'll still have lethal next turn. We'll queue Zidane. And he's dead. It also covers you against rolling 2 84s with Zidane. If you roll 84 twice, you don't actually kill him. You miss out on by like 6 to 10 damage or something like that. And you don't want to be just sitting around doing nothing anyway. One of the ways that you maximize time in this game is by not wasting time outside of turns. As long as there is, hopefully, always something happening on the screen and you're not delaying their turn at the same time, then you're okay. So, more mashing. Next encounter coming up is Steiner 2. This one's probably the easiest fight in the game. You just want to kill yourself as quickly as you can. Do not kill Dagger. If you kill Dagger and then kill your party, you will game over. As long as Dagger doesn't die, you'll be absolutely fine. So, you can use Dagger to kill your allies. But keep in mind that she can miss. Whenever you try to attack something else with your allies, you can miss. Okay, so we've got really good ATB on the 3 characters that actually want to kill themselves, which ideally is the best case scenario, because I think Dagger's attack animation is actually the slowest one of them all. So we're going to have Zidane, Suicide. Don't forget, see how my cursor moved when Chef died there? You need to be careful of these. You need to be careful of these when you're suiciding yourself, because the cursor will move on its own. You can wrap around to try and make these things safer, but be careful. Also, what's good, Erina? If you kill dagger, it's better to reset. You lose about 20 seconds. If you're going for your first couple runs, don't worry about it. Just make sure you pick her up. But if you're going for like strong PBs and stuff, think about it. We're also going to kill Vivi. I think we got triple preempt. All right, so we got one of them through. Ideally, the better, the fewer the... Oh, man, double. That sucks. Steiner 2? Okay. The fewer turns they have, the more time you save. It's RNG. You can't really control it. Right. So, there was a skip recently discovered in this next encounter. I'm going to do a little save state so that we can manipulate the pointer if we need to. Okay, we got nice ATB. I'll let this ATB flow. Actually, I'm going to go back and I want to talk about this one before we start the fight. So, the way that you manage this fight and the way that you can save some time is that you can actually ATB weight the bomb against Steiner. And you can steal turns from Steiner with the bomb. It's... I'm telling you, man, there are no boss fights in this game that are ever the same. This game will fuck with you in as many ways as it possibly can. What I'll do first is I'll show you the easy strategy. So that if you don't want to go for the hard stuff, you don't want to risk losing any time, this will give you the quickest fight without going for any RNG. As soon as this bomb starts growing, I'm going to make Marcus, Zidane, and Vivi all suicide themselves. And then you just wait. You just let the fight go as normal. And it will end the fight for you. If you want to save 3 seconds... But don't get it wrong. If you fuck it up, you lose like 10. It's really bad. But it is a lot more manageable than something like puck skip. And you should get it 9 times out of 10. There are a few occasions where the ATB can get a little bit messed up. And I'm still not quite sure why that's happening. But it happens. It works most of the time. So, the best case scenario here is Zidane has good ATB. As soon as Steiner finishes his turn, I'm going to hold ATB while the bomb grows. Now, what this means is that Steiner currently has little to no ATB. The way the bomb actually works is that it needs to charge its ATB, I think, 2 or 3 times in order to actually queue one of its grow animations. It needs to grow 3 times to end the fight. The third one will end the fight. The second one obviously makes it grow again. The third one will actually cause the end of the fight itself. So once the grow animation is finished and everyone's ATBs are nice and reset, I'm going to queue Zidane to kill himself. You can also use only dagger to suicide Zidane, but you have an exceptionally small chance of dagger to miss. If Zidane's ATB is empty and dagger's ATB is empty, you can't go for this strategy reliably. If they're more than like a third full, you should have ATB gain fast enough for you to be able to attempt this. So once again, if your ATB is not good, don't. Just do the suicide as soon as you can while it's growing. So what we're going to do is we're going to have Zidane suicide, and then shortly after, Dagger is going to have a text box appear at the top of the screen, where she is going to say, Steiner, please wait, or Come Lord, please wait. During that text box, I'm going to queue my other allies to suicide as quickly as I can, so I'm not holding his ATB as much. The suicide is going to go through. There's the text box. Quickly have them kill themselves. And I'm actually going to pause it so that we don't lose any time here. But Steiner is going to then, after this, immediately say Princess something, or just Princess, I believe. And then the bomb is going to have its grow turn. Shortly after that text box has disappeared, the grow box will appear. You can hold ATB pretty tight. I'm going to try and hold ATB maybe half a second after Steiner's text box has disappeared. The rate at which the text box appears is variable based on how quickly you held ATB with Zidane, and another bunch of small factors that you will just have to gain a feel for as you go. You want to try and hold ATB as close as you can to seeing that grow box appear. The further back you hold it, the less chance you are to actually hit this skip. The Steiner's text box, that's going to disappear. Wait half a beat and hold. I was too early. I believe I've messed this up. Yeah, this is bad. He's supposed to have his grow animation. This is an example of how it can get really fucky. So I don't think this is going to work. So I'm going to let go after the bomb's finished its animation. Steiner shouldn't say anything here, but I believe he's going to. Yeah, there it is. So this is how you lose a lot of time. This is a way that this thing can mess you up. So I'm going to try going for it in real time here. And hoping that me pausing it didn't actually mess that up. I'll try and talk through it as I'm going through it. There is a better tutorial on this. Well, there is another tutorial on this by Roam, where you can see the ATBs in real time, which makes it a little bit easier to manage the fight. So hold with Zidane during the grow. Suicide as the animation finishes. Suicide these two during, I guess, text box. Wait for Steiner to finish his animation. Wait 1 beat. Hold. You see how I held ATB and then the grow text box appeared a moment after? That's normal. As soon as... So you can sort of see the idle animation for the bomb. When it snaps back into that from its growing animation, you're good to let go. And now you'll notice, hopefully, Steiner won't say anything and the fight will end. There you go. And that's how you do bomb skip. Kind of. It's finicky. And I would not recommend practicing this in your runs. I would recommend practicing it outside of a run where you're not going to lose shitloads of time, because it's minging.